This is Maya with Health Talks, brought to you by Let's Move TCI. On this episode, we have Mrs. Lakeisha Wilson again, here to talk about fad diets and breaking down the myths of diets. So, Keisha, when I think of fad diets, I hear the buzzwords paleo, intermittent fasting, Mediterranean, and keto. When you hear these words, what do you think of?
Thank you, Maya. When I hear these words, I get very, very agitated. And the reason why I get agitated is because persons tend to rely on these diets solely to give them guidance, and it's not realistic. And a lot of times it's not actually affordable. And many times the food that they're looking for is not easily accessible. And so we have to be realistic about our food choices when we decide to go on any kind of specialized diet. But when persons come to me for consultation, I always encourage them to recognize that there is no one special diet. And these so-called fad diets are just what they are. They come and they go. They're fad diets. Yeah, some of them have some things from them that we can pull from and we can utilize. For example, the low-carb diet. You might want to cut back on your carbs a little bit if you're diabetic. But overall, our emphasis should always be on a balanced diet and focusing on eating foods in its most natural and raw state.
A lot of these diets tend to be quite restrictive, or they have a very particular specific set of instructions. What diet, or is there a diet out there that people can follow that is more accessible, affordable, that can still help them achieve these goals?
Well, you mentioned all of the things that actually account for a healthy diet. And so what we would like to encourage persons to do is plan a well-balanced diet. There is no special diet for all. We need to focus on the foods that we enjoy and prepare them in the way that we will definitely eat them and have an enjoyable time while we're eating them, and be happy about your meal times, right? So just focus on a balanced plate, a typical 9-inch plate. Divide that plate into half. Make half your plate vegetables, and the other half you divide into quarters. Make 1/4 your protein, the other quarter your starch. And that accounts for a healthy, well-balanced plate.
So supplements are the biggest thing. You hear of creatine, glutamine, BCAA. What are these? What's the good, the bad, the ugly, and what's really just useless?
Okay, Maya, so you asked a question about a lot of fancy words and fancy terms that probably many persons are not familiar with. But when we talk about those supplements, they have a role to play in the diet. They can perform specialized functions, essential amino acids, BCAA, all of those things. They have a role to play. However, we don't want persons to focus on relying on these particular supplements solely for their food source. We should always be focusing on getting the actual food itself as opposed to taking in all of these supplements. And also we have to bear in mind that many of the supplements that are out there are not necessarily regulated. They are not regulated by the FDA. And some of them, they may have, I would say, a specialized inspection. However, it does not have the whole 9 yards. And so we have to be very cautious about the consumption of all of these various supplements. Think of taking in the food sources first, and that should be your go-to at all times.
Probiotics. We think of probiotics when we hear of yogurt, kefir, probiotic supplements. What are they? Are they good? What are the pros and cons to them? And do they help with weight management?
Most definitely, Maya. Probiotics do help with weight management. Probiotics are the new superfoods. Probiotics are good for you. They actually help to promote the healthy bacteria in the GI tract. It helps to cause a healthy microbiome to begin to flourish. And particularly now, since we are so focused on improving our immune health, it helps to boost your immune health. So probiotics is actually taking in all those that you mentioned, the kefir, the yogurt, but it should be stating specifically that it's live active cultures, right, of the bacteria in order for you to be really consuming, I would say, an effective probiotic, because there are so many different options that are available. So you want to look for something that has so many billions of the live active cultures that are present, and you want to be consuming them on a regular basis so that you can have consistency and it can be effective in your diet. And overall, the benefits would be definitely weight management, and it would help to boost your immune system and improve your overall microbiome health.
So Keisha, what are things that we can be eating to achieve maximum results in the gym and in our overall health? For example, it is a common misconception that you must be taking in pre-workout, post-workout, protein shakes to achieve maximum muscle strength in the gym.
Okay, Maya, one thing you mentioned, and that's the protein shakes. Let me just dispel something right here and right now, okay? So you can only build muscle if you weaken, okay? You got to get in the gym, or you can do simple exercises at home, low impact, using your weights, or you can even use a 5-gallon bottle of water. But you have to train your muscles, work your muscles to get muscles, all right? So that direct impact that you're doing with your exercises, that is what is going to help to build muscle. So we need to take this misconception that you can literally drink yourself buff. That's not happening. I want to see persons getting out there and being a lot more physically active, and that is the whole idea behind the Let's Move campaign, is for persons to become more physically active. Now, when it comes to exercising, we know that we need fuel to help us have energy for us to carry out that exercise. So throughout the day, especially like say if you're doing a morning workout or you're going to do later in the afternoon. So if it's morning, you want to make sure that you're having your meal about 3 hours before you actually exercise. And that meal should always include a carbohydrate and protein combined. So for example, if you have whole grain toast bread with scrambled eggs, you have a good lean source of protein and a complex carb. That should fuel you and give you good energy for you to be able to carry out that any type of exercise, right? Of course, if it's long endurance, you need to ensure that you have adequate water. You need to ensure that you have, if possibly, Gatorade. But please, let's put Gatorade, even the Gatorade, into perspective, because if you're not going to be outdoors exercising for over an hour or so, you probably don't need that Gatorade. So the Gatorade has its place, but we don't want persons to be overusing it or abusing it, right? Yes, and if it's say for example dinner, you can possibly have baked chicken with sweet potato, and that will be a good combination of carbs with your vegetables to help fuel you at about 3 hours before the meal. You want to ensure that the carbs that you're having, although we want them to be complex, we don't necessarily want them to be too high in fiber if you're going to be consuming them within an hour's time, because the high fiber takes longer to digest, and that longer digestion means that all of your attention is going to be focused on the stomach as opposed to you doing your exercise. So you probably don't want to have a high fiber within an hour, but if it's 3 hours, that will be suitable.
Thank you, Keisha, for helping dispel the myths surrounding fad diets, for helping bring light to what we actually need to put in our bodies besides these workout drinks and pre-workout and protein, and how we can have a more holistic whole food approach. That's all today for our episode of Health Talks. I'm your host, Maya Saunders, and don't forget to check out our Let's Move website and our social media for more tips.